One thing I've noticed as I've been transitioning into more of a sustainable operation management practice is I don't seem to be managing my bees the same way every year. I'm using the same tricks and the same management practices. It's just every year seems to be a little bit different, as I seem to be targeting different circumstances and different management practices as I go. And it's quite interesting. When an operation is reliant on other things, on other services and other products to be able to help manage the operations, you're more tied to logistics, to external factors, right? And those external factors are those other operating businesses which provide that service to you to be able to get your work done. So your management practice directly ties onto the schedule of other businesses and their operations. More of a timeline, more of a schedule. But I find as I'm operating the apiary more sustainably, more internal, I don't have that link, I don't have that tie to other businesses and their demands on their operating management. I'm more tied to what's going on here and managing within and managing in complement with the external factors like the natural world here, which are influencing my hives. I'm not sure if that made any sense, but as I'm going through, and every year is a little bit different because the conditions come at us differently, we're managing these bees differently according to the conditions, responding directly to the conditions. So our only whip and our only tie is to the development of these colonies and how they are responding to the natural world. And I think it just provides, maybe, it just provides that link of control. You know, as we're managing these conditions that are completely out of our control, we are able to respond exactly and precisely to all these conditions, whereas when you're tied to other operating practices, you're tied to a schedule and you're trying to make that schedule work within all these uncertain circumstances that are coming at you. So it just complicates things and it completely takes you out of control. So I'm going through here and I'm managing my hives, you know, the same way every year, but a little bit differently, and it makes it feel like we're approaching the year completely fresh, with a completely fresh palate. And you know, you wake up that morning and you look at the conditions and you look at the bees and you make your decision on how you're going to manage those hives accordingly. It just ties you directly to the natural world. It eliminates all that business operating stress that you can't control. That might sound like a bunch of hokey pokey, but it's added a layer of control and it's eliminated that layer of stress, which I will reinforce over and over and over again, is that we've got to bring more control. There's many aspects of agriculture right now that, you know, are directly tied to external factors. Those external factors, a lot of money being spent, demands, schedules. And as I was operating my honey business and I was progressing, I was seeing this business following the same pattern of where we were directly tying everything that was going on in here to those external factors, where we're making everybody else rich. Well, what about us? We need to be able to hold on to our money ourselves too. So I completely changed my management style. I switched over to focus on sustainability. I changed my beekeeping management completely over to be able to focus on internal development, internal production, and it just allowed me to, you know, eliminate that calendar, focus directly on the bees, and not spend so much damn money on giving, you know, padding everybody else's pocket, whereas I need to pad my own. 2 frames of bees in there. Maybe a frame of bees in this one. So 2.5 frames of bees in this one. So these colonies, I'm tempted, you know, on a year that, so these colonies I'm tempted to just leave because they developed themselves into a nice little summer nest. But I want to boost them up. I want to, you know, accelerate them a little bit. And I also want to use all that surplus strength within my operation. So I'm going to use that surplus strength to boost and, you know, just to give these guys a bit of a push forward, just to help them, you know, progress a little bit quicker into the summer flow, just to complement their growth. So these guys are a little bit small. They need a little bit of help. Those other colonies that I'm targeting are a little bit big. You know, they need time and effort put into them to be able to control their growth. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a colony on that needs a little bit of boost onto a colony that needs a little bit of time spent into it. Put them together, and just in the very act of them merging and then cooperating and the development together, the strength will be pulled from the bottom, moved up to the top to complement the work going on up top. And in a way, they are then taking that split from that colony themselves. They're sorting out the situation. They're balancing things out the way they see it. All I'm doing is dropping boxes and then stripping boxes. So it's kind of a neat little trick. This little trick just helps me manage the workload while spreading the strength throughout the entire apiary, making everything the same, right? And it just, sometimes the work just overwhelms you, so you use those little bits and pieces of tricks here and there to be able to manage that workload. And at the end of spring, when it all comes together, you'll have an apiary, have common strength, and no bees in the trees, and everything just primed and ready to go for the honey flow. It's quite obvious. Some of these hives kind of, you know, just scream at you what they need done with them. Whew, relax, girls. Should be using smoke today. But, you know, you got a colony like this. You see them in the front. These colonies have a bit of girth. Those ones I'm not going to be using to superimpose over top of strong units. Those ones are going to be going into a spot themselves to fill in dead spots. You know, I could take advantage of that girth, of that vigor. So either they were tagged when we went through with the first assessment, or they've just basically progressed in a fashion which, you know, is expressing their pure and utter brilliance.